Get in the Ring connects startups to opportunities to start, grow, and scale up their business.
The reason I said yes to this one was because we were coming to the home of Philips and going to spend the day with the Philips executives.
All these entrepreneurs that have great energy, they have great tools, and they all want to change the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Get in the Ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time! Introducing the legend, the host of over 150 events in 5 continents, global ringmaster of Get in the Ring, Mr. Keith Douglas Wallace!
Welcome to Get in the Ring, the global startup competition. I'm Keith Wallace, and I'm the global ringmaster here. Some of you might be asking, what is that? Well, it means with our ring, we travel around the world, from Berlin to Burkina Faso, from Medellin through to Mexico. Why is that important? Because it means we bring 2 startups into this ring and allow them to battle it out. I know listening to pitching is rather boring. Well, we did something to change that. We give them only 1 minute each to tell us in very simple terms what they do and why that's special. And then we go into a battle of 5 rounds. Round 1, team. What makes the team outstanding? We don't care about titles. We don't care who's CFO. What we want to know is what they've done. Round 2, achievements. We don't want storytelling here. What is the turnover? How much capital have you raised? How much grant income have you had? What have they achieved in concrete form? And that leads very carefully into round 3. Business model and market. How do they make money and how much money is to be made? Round 4, financials and proposition. Perhaps the most important of all the rounds. What do they want from you as an audience, from our champions, or from wider financiers? If they don't tell us, they've failed. Round 5, freestyle. Now this is my favorite round because a good competitor in the red corner has heard everything the blue corner opponent said and has figured out all of the weaknesses in their armor. And they're going to highlight every one of those and then highlight the strong points of their own and tell the jury and you as audience why they should win. When this is done, it's question time. And then there is the vote to see who is going to be champion. Because in Get in the Ring, it's a battle, and in a battle, there can only be one winner. So, let's get in the ring, and let's see who we're going to meet today. Welcome. Let's find some energy now because it is time for the energy battle here in the ring. And we have 2 amazing startups that are going to be pitching in blue corner and red corner. But before we meet those, we have our jury members. And what a jury we have for you in this battle. True leaders in the energy field. Leo, you're with Vopak. What are you looking for today?
I'm looking for brilliant ideas on 2 strategic themes which we are focusing on: sustainability and digitization, which helps Vopak, which is a 405 years old company, to exist for another 400 years to go.
Only another 400 years, not another 405. I think you're not aiming high enough. Thank you, Leo, for that one. Let's move on and see from our next jury member. We have Kees Cola of Cola Industries and Ventures. Sir, what are you looking for from these fine startups today?
I think we all know that the energy transition has to happen, and it will happen. So I'm looking for the company that's going to contribute the most to that.
Wonderful. Perfect. And our final jury member today is Tanya. Tanya, are you looking for something very different than the two gentlemen?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Then I'd be sitting in the wrong jury. No, of course, I'm looking for great energy transition, smart city solutions. And basically, picking a company that hopefully I can help somehow to scale.
Perfect. Well, I think that is something that we'll probably be coming back to, how we can all help out each other. Because yes, we are looking for a winner today. And I've met Pedro and Eric before, so I know they can battle very well. One of them can win, but if we can put our heads together, maybe there's some business to be done around this table right now. So are we ready to hear the introductions of both Red and Blue Corner? Let's hear a yes from our jury.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Super. Then let's get started. I'm going to go across to the Red Corner, and I think it's time to say, Red Corner, you've got a minute to introduce yourself. I know you can do this. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. Well, did you know that industry emits around 30% of all CO2? And the reason is that all these factories require a lot of heat, not so much electricity. And it's 24/7, it's humongous amounts, and it's made with fossil fuels. Now, at some point, all that heat energy comes out as wasted because the temperature is too low. So it's basically useless. Now, imagine we could capture some of that potential and give it back to the plants so they could produce the same amount of output with less energy and less emissions. And so we looked at nature, and we looked at the energy system in nature, the ATP-ADP cycle, and we took that as inspiration to build a totally new type of industrial heat pump that is chemically driven. It's like putting a turbo on the engines of these plants and basically reducing their emissions and their energy consumption while maintaining the same output. So basically we have a breakthrough in large-scale industrial climate action.
Thank you very much indeed. I think that was directly on the minute, so very well practiced. Let's move across to your opponent in the Blue Corner. Pedro, you've got the same 1 minute for an introduction.
Hello, I'm Pedro João. I'm the founder and CEO of Omniflow, and we provide sustainable smart city solutions. We developed a smart IoT lamppost powered by wind and solar that can host multiple applications like 5G, computer vision, and edge computing. Our objective is to transform the existing 500 million streetlights that consume a lot of power and just provide basic service, light, into sustainable, smart infrastructures. Changing from standard lighting into LED provides an opportunity to save 50 to 60% of energy. But changing into Omniflow saves more than 90%, promoting decarbonization and enabling digital services that create revenue opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's get into our battle royal of 5 rounds. The first round is, as always, team. And we are starting in the Blue Corner. Tell me, why is your team so good?
Yeah, we built a multidisciplinary team with previous experience in product development and material science. And this is a key aspect in developing the hybrid wind and solar solution and using the ideal materials to allow the 5G frequencies for the antenna hosting. We also have a solid and passionate business and software development team that are supporting the scaling in the multiple markets we are in.
Pedro, thank you so much. There wasn't a chief executive officer mentioned among all of those, so a perfect answer to that team question. Let's take it across to the Red Corner. Do you have a team that is more outstanding than we saw from your opponent?
Well, at least as good, but our team is international and it comes from the industries we're selling to. So basically, we know our customers, we know their processes, we know what they need, and we have all the required expertise: engineering, energy efficiency, sales, marketing, product development, project management, you name it. But maybe the most important thing is that we can scale our solution because we can rely on hundreds of big companies, so-called EPCs, that can build these solutions with our clients.
Well, I'm going to stick with you there, Eric, because I think it's time to move on to round 2. It's time to talk about achievements. No storytelling here, just fact. What have you achieved as a company?
Okay, 2018 started commercialization. 2 first clients, petrochemicals, Borealis and Sabic. That's the number 4 in the world. And then from there on, we had another petrochemical, 2 more oil majors, and 3 major food companies. Also, the Port of Antwerp has invested 1 million euros via their transition fund in us because they believe that we are important for their third pillar, which is energy efficiency in their decarbonization strategy.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very clear. Some good achievements on this side, but I think you can outperform. Am I right?
Omniflow patent technology has market traction in more than 30 countries, with thousands of units deployed globally, already achieving cash flow positive and proving the company model. We were also awarded with the Solar and Pulse Foundation label and have secured strategic partnerships with Siemens and Telefonica that are now selling Omniflow solutions in multiple markets. But the best part is the tons of CO2 already avoided.
Very nice indeed. But with Siemens and Telefonica as customers, there must be a business model that we can understand. And how big is the market? Pedro, we're sticking with you for round 3, business model and market.
By retrofitting old lights into Omniflow, we can save both private and public sector customers more than 90% the energy cost and using the existing poles and infrastructures. But we can install our systems in a location and they will become an asset. And we can lease different services to different entities, generating recurring revenues from small cells, 5G small cells, software services, and all kinds of IoT sensors.
The bell has tolled, so I think it's time to pass across to Eric. Can you be clearer on your business model? Because there, I'm not sure we got quite an answer from Pedro, but we might come back to it. But Eric, over to you.
All right. Basically, we focus on the top 200 companies with the largest energy and emission footprint. So to make it concrete, where we can save between 100,000 and 1 million tons of CO2 emissions in scope 1 per year. And we get a part of the recurrent savings of those energy costs and CO2 taxes that they don't have to pay. And since the CO2 taxes are on the rise, we have a lot of exposure there because we have a recurrent revenue model.
Very nice indeed. Well, I think we're going to stick with you because it's time to find out a bit more about the financials that are important and your proposition towards the 3 judges and to our wider audience today. Because maybe it's a question to the wider audience, maybe it's for the specific champions. Only you can tell us. 30 seconds, Eric.
Okay, last year, $6 million turnover, this year 10 million. The driver is recurring income from the savings with the growing install base, so that takes a little time to ramp up. So that's why we now focus on getting in more customers, doing the rollout programs with our 7 existing customers, and also building partnerships with EPCs and a sales network to do indirect sales. And end of this year, we're going to have a B round to fund those big ambitions.
Very clear indeed. Pedro, we've heard the proposition. I think yours is a little different, so over to you, sir.
Yeah, Omniflow is already identified as a top player in the rapidly growing smart pole market. So we are now competing with big international projects. We are also developing new groundbreaking solutions for drone charging, V2X, and smart grid units with increased energy storage. So we are opening a new round of investment for 10 million euros that will help achieve full city scale and grow our revenues exponentially.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, I think it is time for the final round, round 5, which is freestyle. And in freestyle, I think you've both listened to each other, Pedro and Eric. It's time to point out towards the champions the strong parts of your own case and the weak parts of your opponents. So, who'd like to go first in this round? Eric, Pedro, who would be the first?
Could be me.
Well, Pedro, you spoke up first, so it is you. You have 30 seconds to convince the champions you should win.
Yeah, I want to use these 30 seconds to congratulate all the startups that went through the ring, including my honorable adversary, for having the balls to put their asses on the line and to create something new. We believe that we can make a positive impact in the world and solve many of our customer problems. And from a simple idea on a napkin to units deployed in more than 30 countries, and being here today, it's been a hell of a ride.
You are the nicest person we have had in any battle all day. But let's see if our judges are looking for the killer instinct here or not. Maybe this is the winning strategy. We're going to find out. But before we do, let's hear the 30 seconds from Eric. Eric, which way are you going on this?
Well, the way of the elephant in the room, which is the industry. And many companies want to go minus 30, minus 50% by 2030 in their emissions, and that's less than 10 years. So it's a big challenge. Now you have three solutions. You can replace fossil fuels with green electricity. It's going to raise your costs. You can capture CO2, raise your cost, not for everyone. And you can do large-scale energy efficiency. You save money and you save emissions. And this is what we bring to the table. We have invented a new type of heat pump, a blue ocean solution that brings large-scale energy efficiency to the table for these hundreds of big corporations.
Thank you very much indeed. The bell was tolling there, but you got through it. Jury members, you have a few minutes to ask some questions. Let's try and keep the questions short. And gentlemen entrepreneurs, keep your answers short too. So which of the jury members would like to start first? Tanya, your hand is up. So let's start with you.
I would like to address this to both, given the sales cycle. So Eric, I would imagine your sales cycles are quite long. What's your commercialization strategy there?
Sales cycles are about 2 years from beginning of the first touch point with the client to the first order, which is logical because you're talking to big industry. So they need to be sure that your process works and then need to be integrated into their systems. So the main strategy is that we focus on the early adopters, the innovators, which we have on board. We have 7, 8 of them out of the, let's say, the 100 that we really want to target in the first years. And secondly, we're also deploying our efforts through EPC companies and partners.
Thank you very much, Eric. As you see, you have the 30 seconds in this round as well. Perfect answer from you. Was the same question also for Pedro, Tanya?
Yeah, we have a mix of public and private sector. So private is usually like 6 months for having a sales cycle complete, and the public sector is usually longer, takes normally 1 year. And for that, we use companies that already have open channel, like the partners that we created, the partnership with Siemens and Telefonica, and this kind of approach.
Thank you very much. Tanya, are you happy with the answers to the questions?
I am, thank you.
Perfect. Then let's move on to one of the two other judges. Yes, Kees, your hand is up. It's over to you.
Yes, specifically for Pedro. Pedro, you are dealing in a sector where there is so many different regulations, almost on the local level. And you are not so clear about your business model and financials. So can you elaborate a little bit, like how are you going to scale big and make money so you can continue to survive?
Yes, so basically we start with the public lighting, right? Right now, public lighting is the entry to that specific location. So we can save more than 90% the energy cost. So this provides a 4 to 8 year return on investment for the customer. And this can be financed into a OPEX type of deal structure, right? So this we can offer directly to the customer instant savings. So if they're paying like 50 euros per pole, we can offer like a 25 euros per pole. And then we put the extra revenues on top from 5G, computer vision, traffic analysis, air quality sensors. So we are creating additional revenues on a location that was previous just a cost for the city or the final customer.
What would you like to hear that you didn't hear there?
I heard a lot about what you can do with it and what the customer can do with it, but I'm not sure if I understand what Omniflow is going to benefit from this. Because if you want to make an impact, you have to survive yourself.
Yeah, we have a shared revenue model. So, for example, when you lease the inside of the unit to include the 5G, so we are receiving a part of the revenues coming from the telco operators. That's why we created partnerships with all the big telco operators around the world, because 5G is the major driver to install our devices on the city. And we developed this specific material, composite material that has minimum interference with the 5G. So all of the operators that we are working with can install their antennas and deploy a sustainable network instead of just a regular network that consumes a lot of power.
Pedro, thank you very much. I think that was more of an answer there. Leo, it's your chance to ask. Who is your question for, sir?
Both gentlemen, actually. First of all, interesting propositions. How are you protected from an IP perspective of the things you have brought to market? Eric, maybe for you to start.
Thanks, Leo. Actually, we have a lot of patents which have been granted globally. Also, an important part of our IP is in the thermodynamic modeling of how our system works. This is something that we keep closed in our computer models, in what's called Aspen software. So we don't divulge that yet. For the rest, our units can be built with standard chemical industrial components, which means that you can deploy them very quickly, and they can be deployed by many of these EPCs in the petrochemicals, which is really essential in having this big footprint and having some impact out there. So at the same time, we have the ideal situation of being able to build it very quickly with standard components. On the other side, very well protected IP.
Same for you, Pedro?
Yeah, we have also granted patents in the most markets, right? So also for design and industrial patent protecting how it works, the device. So even in China and Hong Kong, we have these protected. So it's crucial markets for us to have the protection on.
Leo, happy with the answer?
Yes.
Superb. Then I think it is now time for our jury to think a little about who they would like to win. So we give you a few minutes, and I think it's time to tell you a bit about the public voting. Maybe this helps the jury, maybe it doesn't, because there has been some public voting with more than 6,000 votes. Very close numbers between the two companies that are here on stage. But the one that got the most votes was QPinch. So just for our jury member, QPinch got the audience award, but you can go in any way you wish to. And well, all of our viewers on YouTube, please comment on who you'd like to see winning. You never know. Let's see if you can predict it before the jury comes back. But I'm going to ask a few questions of the entrepreneurs jury, so you've got a chance to think a little more on who you'd like to win. And I think that the big question is, who is your dream client, Pedro, and why?
Yeah, well, the dream client is a full city deployment where we can have the most CO2 impact and create the backbone for a sustainable smart city model, where one single device can provide multiple services and making the most of existing infrastructures and doing much more with less.
So why don't we move on and hear from Eric. Eric, who's your dream client?
Well, the dream client is actually the corporate that has a potential of 1 million tons of CO2 that we can take away in their assets, and that would be willing to have a rollout program to do that in, let's say, 10 years.
Perfect. Thank you. And maybe the question, and I hate to press, but before the jury are going to vote, is there something you think you can do for one of these two companies? Are there connections you think you could make to bring the companies forward? So this is where we put the jury slightly on the line. Case, do you see a way of helping either of these two startups?
Yes, of course, I see a great way to help them. I think I start with Pedro. I think to build the company big and to make it last long, he has to work on his business model and customer proposition in terms of money. As I said before, it is really important to have a long history if you look back. And if you look at Eric, I would have a lot of questions about the technology. Because we all know that this heat waste has gone on for a long time. It's driven now by legislation and penalties. And all these companies, they know this already, and this was on their radar, but they didn't do it. There was a reason for that. So I'm very curious about the long-term proposition. If penalties or those things will go away, how it will survive.
Can I give a quick answer to that?
You can give a 30-second answer to that, and you can carry on the conversation after the whole thing, but 30 seconds now.
Actually, the first traction we got when CO2 prices were rock bottom. So basically, the case that was being made at that point was just OPEX reduction, even before the big promises in CO2 reduction. But now the rising CO2 cost is, of course, putting a tailwind in our business model. But in essence, people are always looking for energy efficiency because the cheapest energy is the one that you don't consume. And there wasn't any solution, and we had a breakthrough because we looked at a totally different direction, chemistry instead of looking at the normal existing heat pumps.
Thank you. The bell unfortunately has tolled on that one, but I know we'll be putting you in contact afterwards so you can carry out a little more conversation on that one. Leo, we land with you as the last jury member. What have you thought of the two startups, and what do you think you can do for them?
If I look at the specific propositions today from Pedro and Eric, Pedro, I have a telecom background. I've seen also similar solutions which you offer. As Vopak, we have less of a network for you, I think, to offer to you to become successful globally. But the interest would be in private LTE in the poles for the industrial sites, because IoT is one of the ways we digitize our full operations, and poles are one of the things we look at to bring 5G. So that's something which I would like to discuss with you. If that's a flyer, then of course then there's a market open for you where we could be of help. If I look to Eric, of course, your customers are our customers. We have many ventures invested in where we have brought solutions to market where our customers actually and joint venture partners are highly interested in. So we could be a distribution channel for you with the EPC contracting. Of course, we also have some heat, but most of the time we do use heat from other, let's say, industrial sites around us. But it's maybe worth looking into with the experts on this specific topic.
Thank you so much. I think what we're going to say there is that there are openings for both of you with the jury, but I think it's time for us to actually give the jury an even more difficult set, because they've said how much they like you, but they have to choose who they're voting for, red or blue. Leo, is it to be red corner or blue corner? Please hold up whatever object you have. It is the red corner who is the winner. So I see a smile on Eric's face. He has one vote. Tanya. You went blue. Pedro, you have a vote from Tanya. Let's move on to Case Cola. You went red. So we have 2 votes for Eric. So I think it's time for a very big round of applause for Pedro. And an even bigger round of applause for our winner of today, Eric. Eric, any last words for Pedro?
Well, he was a worthy opponent, and I agree with what Tanya says. And I think 5G is going to be really, really important. So I think all these building blocks that we have, that Pedro has, that other companies have, that we saw in this conference, are really important. So again, as I said in the beginning, I think the last 8 are all winners, and by definition, all the other contestants, there were a lot of really good companies in there also. I hope we all win in the end.
Lovely. So everyone's a winner. You're just the winner of winners. Pedro, really good. I think that there's some synergy there. You're going to be having a little follow-on. Jury members, I'm sorry I pressed you so much in how you can help the companies, but I think when we've got such 2 great people presenting with great opportunity, we need to move these things along, because these guys deserve something. So on behalf of all of us here in the ring, we'd like to thank the jury members. Let's have a round of applause, team. We'd like to thank the entrepreneurs. And we'd like to thank everyone at home. So stay tuned, and we'll see you for the next battle. Congratulations again, Eric.